Hello and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a new episode of The Giving Hand. Today we have a special guest. She will talk about rescuing animals, helping their lives and their soul. With her team, KTV, the animal rescue team. So please, dear viewers, stay tuned. And now, dear viewers, with our guest, Sara Alawadhi. She's a volunteer in the KTV animal rescue team. So hello and good evening, Sara.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for having me.
You are most welcome, and actually we know some information about you and some details about KTV. But first of all, we'd like to know more about yourself, Sara.
My name is Sara Alawadhi. I'm a volunteer with KTV, which is an animal rescue group, rescue and adoption group, and I've been a volunteer with them for 8 years now.
Oh, 8 years.
Yes.
Let's say that since the establishment, or?
Almost, yes. It was established in 2013 and I joined end of 2014.
So from 2013, this team has been established.
Yes.
So what is all about this team, its purpose, let's say?
Okay, so the main aim of the group is to raise awareness in regards to animals, animal rights, how to take care of animals, and also the group specializes in rescuing animals that are in need, so injured animals or sick animals, and treating them, and then finding forever homes to adopt them here in Kuwait or abroad.
Well, we're gonna know more details about how you rescue actually animals and save their lives. But the KTV is really a unique title because it's written not by C, by K.
Yes.
So can you tell us the secret behind that?
Yes, CARE actually stands for Kuwait Awareness and Rehabilitation Education, but it sounds like the word care, which is what we want to achieve, you know, because we want to promote caring for animals and kindness.
Wonderful. So how many members actually in your team, Sara?
About 15 members,
15?
let's say, yes.
So
there are members that have been there since the beginning, and we've had some volunteers join later on, and we have some volunteers who join for some time, and then it's like for a summer internship or something regarding to their school, but the permanent volunteers are about 15.
15
Yes.
members. So each one of those members has its own task, isn't it?
Yes, I mean, one of our main tasks, I mean, I think it also depends on the age of the volunteer and what they can actually help with or offer. Because one of our most important tasks is the rescue task. So that usually requires a driver's license, and someone has to be over 18 years old. So if that person is able to help with that, then I think most of us do. So that's what the most of us do when we're able to. And there are other tasks as well. It depends on what the person is good at or can offer, or if they can foster, for example, which is to keep the cat or dog temporarily until we find a forever home for them.
Interesting. So let's say each of this member, the main task for them is rescuing animal and should be above 18.
Yes.
And it hasn't to be professional to be rescuing animal, or just like anyone can rescue animal.
Yeah, I mean, anyone who cares about this and would like to help, we always welcome volunteers. We're always in need for new volunteers, and anybody and everybody is welcome to join. So yes, anybody who would like to help with this, I don't see why they can't.
So how can they join, Sara?
We're on social media. We're on Instagram. It's our most active platform, so they can contact us there. KTV8, KAREQ8. And then we have another account, I support KTV8, so i.support.KTV8. They can contact us and they can let us know what they can help with, whether even if they're under 18 and they'd like to join, and if they can foster, for example, or they can help with managing social media accounts or creating posts and editing videos. We always need help with those kinds of things. So yeah, they can contact us and we'll take it from there.
It's really easy to join your team. The KTV team is really a noble job you are doing, like rescuing animals. But we'd like to know in specific, actually, the process of helping those animals.
Okay, so Usually someone sees a cat or a dog that is hurt or sick, and they contact us. They send us a photo or a video, and depending on our situation, because we don't have a sponsor, we're just a volunteer group. We're not an organization or anything like that. So sometimes when our bills reach a certain limit at the hospitals, we are unfortunately unable to take the case under our name. So the only thing we can do is post and hope that someone will step up and sponsor this case. If we are able to, of course, we will have this cat or dog admitted at the hospital. We will check with the volunteers and see who can go and pick the cat or dog up and take the animal to the hospital. And usually the volunteer waits because, you know, it's an emergency, so there's no appointment. So they have to wait for their turn, which can take some time. And then they go in with the cat or dog, and they take a video, because we like to post everything so that people are informed. And they understand from the doctor what the initial diagnosis is, and we take it from there.
So basically, if you see like a stray dog or a stray any kind of animal, but mostly we have here in Kuwait dogs and cats.
Yes.
So if you see like any kind of animal, you just grab them and put them in your like a shelter in your home.
I mean,
Like
the thing is, we don't have. We have very limited space, so we're not always able to take a lot of animals. Sometimes all we can do again is post and also hope that someone will foster this cat or dog if they're healthy. If they're not, of course, we're gonna take them to the hospital.
Yes.
But yes, we have limited space, and we have to give priority to the animals that are in need. So either sick or injured, things like that.
Oh, sick and injured animals have the most proper.
Yes.
So let's talk about your most important tasks. What the most important tasks you are focusing on in this team, Sara?
Well, I mean, if I'm able to help with the rescue, of course, I will jump right in. Otherwise, I'm managing the I Support Care Kuwait account on Instagram, and also the Twitter account.
Yes.
I'm also trying to keep it more active. So people who contact us on I Support Care Kuwait to apply to adopt a cat, I'm the one who usually interviews them. So I interview them and I ask them the questions that we have. And then I discuss it with the group, and we decide if this person is qualified to adopt or not.
That's an amazing job, Sara.
Thank you.
So let's talk about the most important of the most areas that you can find animals and rescue them here in Kuwait, of course.
The areas?
Yes.
I think it's random. I mean, people send us photos and videos on a daily basis, and I don't think they're limited to specific areas. I think it's very random.
But we can see them mostly in the beaches, like let's in Salmiya beach, isn't it?
Yes, true. But
cats.
those cats are usually looked after by people. Actually, people feed them and things like that. So we don't usually get emergencies or rescue cases from those areas, because usually those are looked after, but more residential areas and sometimes commercial shops, all around actually. We receive reports of injured and sick animals.
So if any person wants to adopt a cat or a dog from you, they can do actually adoption from you, like from your team?
Yes, of course. I mean, we rescue, and our goal is to ultimately find forever homes for them, whether it's here or abroad. So we welcome that. We encourage people to adopt, not shop. So yes, I mean, as long as they pass the interview, then they're more than welcome to.
Well, actually, I have two more questions, depending on your answer. You say it's from here or abroad.
Yes.
What do you mean by abroad?
We've actually had many people from the US and Canada adopt rescues over the years.
Oh, that's amazing. So not only here from Kuwait.
Yes, actually, I think maybe we've had more adoptions abroad than here, especially dogs and special needs. So cats or dogs that have one eye or 3 legs or paralyzed. Those are usually luckier finding forever homes abroad than here.
That's amazing. So what about, you mentioned like the difference between shopping and adoption.
Yes.
So what are the differences between both of them?
Well, adoption is when you take in a cat or a dog without actually paying a person who is selling them, like a merchant or a trader or a breeder. So encourage people to adopt and to cooperate with local rescue and adoption groups, because there are so many cats that are in need of homes, and we don't encourage people to support breeders because they don't actually care about these animals. They only care about the money, and a lot of the times because of overbreeding, the male or the female can develop diseases, and the children, actually the babies, the kittens or the puppies, can also have genetic problems because of overbreeding.
Yes. So adoption, not buying or shopping animals.
Yes.
What a lovely interview with our guest Sara Alawadhi. We will move on, but dear viewers, let's watch this report together and then we'll be right back to you. And we are back again, dear viewers, with our guest Sara Alawadhi. So dear Sara, we've been talking about adoption, buying and selling animals. And you say adoptions, of course, is better than selling and shopping those poor animal, let's say. So let's talk about markets here in Kuwait and even in the worldwide. Actually, we know there is a markets that selling and buying those animals. We'd like to know your point of view about that.
Well, I'm very much against buying and selling animals, and I think I speak on behalf of the group when I say this. One of the reasons is because, like I said, when it comes to selling animals, the person, unfortunately, who's selling doesn't really care about the health of the animal. And as unfortunately we see here in shops, there's no vet that comes and checks the health of these animals. And if they get sick, sometimes they just throw them away, even when they're still alive. So people are sometimes drawn to these shops because they see little and small animals and they think they're cute, but they're not vaccinated. They don't check if they're healthy.
Especially when they colored them.
Yes,
that's small
horrible.
birds.
That's horrible. So many inhumane things are being done to these animals, and unfortunately, nothing is. Although we have a law against animal cruelty that was established in 2015, but it's not being implemented and nobody is doing anything about it.
Exactly, and unfortunately, actually, children love those colored animals, the cute rabbit, hamster, that they can sell them in the market, small markets. And also children love going to zoos.
Yes.
So what's actually your point of view in the zoos? How can actually we can teach those children about animal, how they behave, how they eat, instead of going to zoos, actually?
I'm also against the idea of zoos in general, because mostly the animals, this is not their environment. They're taken from their environment and they're being kept in cages for people to pay money. Of course, it's a business after all. They just want to make money.
Yes.
So people pay and they come and see them and they're entertained, but the animals are actually suffering. So I'm against the idea, and I think there are plenty of ways how we can teach children about animals. For example, I mean, if they're wild animals and they don't belong in this environment, I think the best way is to maybe show them documentaries, videos, even animated videos maybe. Sometimes they can get the message across, especially for children. If they're tame animals like cats and dogs, volunteer groups actually can help with this. Sometimes we get invited to go to schools, and sometimes we're allowed to take dogs with us, or especially small dogs, so they can see them firsthand. Yes, I think
it's really a great solution, Sara. So speaking about children, do you provide any kind of workshops teaching those students to rescue animals, to save their lives, as you do as an adult?
I think, I mean, other than social media, because we try as much as we can to post awareness, about how to raise awareness in regards to what to do, how to rescue animals or how to take care of them, things like that. But when it comes to children more specifically, I think going to schools is actually, it plays a part or a role in this.
Yes.
And when we do go, we usually do explain how to rescue or what to do when we see an injured animal and things like that. First aid.
First aid.
Yes.
So now let's talk about donations. Do you do any donations in your team, Sara?
Actually, because we're a volunteer group, we're the actually ones who need donations.
Oh, the opposite way.
So since we don't have a sponsor and we're not an official organization, it's just a group of individuals.
There's no governmental sector that provides you and sponsor your team? Oh,
no,
okay.
not at all. So like I said earlier, if our bills at the hospital reach a certain limit and we're unable to take any more cases, we hope that people donate, and the donations are done directly. They can contact the hospital directly and they can send them a payment link, or they can use a link that we have in our Instagram account. And also donations, other kinds of donations are supplies like food for cats, dogs, cat litter, things like that.
So it's not only money, even food
of course, yes,
supplies.
Of course, we have a donation box at Pet Zone, Al Ray store, so people can place their donations there, and whenever we can, a volunteer goes and picks them up. That's also very appreciated.
Really great. So I know that you love what you are doing, Sara, and I know that you are a working lady as well. You are working, you are an employee.
Yes.
So how do you manage actually, Sara, between both as your personal life, as an employee, and also as a volunteer?
Well, I mean, I think most of us are employees, and we do what we can when we're not working. I mean, each of us have their own different jobs, and each job has its own working hours. So
yes.
I mean, while I'm at work, sometimes there's an emergency. So if I'm unable to go myself, I try to communicate with the volunteers in our group, and I try to coordinate. I try to find someone to go as soon as possible. So sometimes I'm the coordinator if I'm unable to go myself. And of course, if I'm not at work or if I'm able to leave and I can help with the rescue, I will gladly.
That's really great, Sara. So now let's talk about another file. This is actually unpleasant file, which is torturing animals, poisoning animals, especially the stray animals. And we can see some children, they just throw them with stones, they throw them with a gun. What is your point of view about that, and how your team can find such behaviors?
Well, I mean, I think that's very cruel and inhumane. Unfortunately, like I said, we have a law against animal cruelty, but unfortunately it's not being implemented. So people are getting away with hurting animals. Nobody's being punished. Well, I think they should be punished. Poisoning animals is very, I cannot explain how cruel it is, because it makes the animal die very slowly. I cannot understand how people do that, or even shooting them with guns. We've had so many rescues that were shot and actually they became paralyzed because the bullet went into their spinal cord. So their life was changed forever, and they could not be cured. Some of them died, of course.
That's really a cruel thing to do. Would like to know how to spread awareness about such behavior, to stop letting, especially children, and I can see adult people actually doing that, but let's teach children. How can we spread awareness?
I think one of the ways is to start with schools. Not necessarily through volunteer groups. I mean, even teachers can educate children about this. Maybe some material can be added to the curriculum, and they can be taught how to care for animals. And I mean, our religion teaches us not to harm or torture animals. So we already know this, but unfortunately, sometimes when there's no law
Yes.
being implemented, we cannot rely on people's conscience.
Exactly.
So there has to be a strict law. That
has to be a strict
there
law.
is, but it has to be implemented.
Exactly. It will say Sara. We'll move on to reviewers with our guest Sara Alawadhi, but let's watch this report together and then we'll be right back to you. And we are back again to reviewers with our guest Sara Alawadhi from Kuwait Rescue Team. So Sara, we've been talking about how we can rescue those animals. You've been giving us a solution how to spread awareness here in our society. So now you are love what you are doing, of course, and can see that. So how does actually the voluntary work change your perspective of life, Sara?
I'm very passionate about what I do and about volunteer work in general, because I feel like volunteer work is something that you choose to do, and you're not pressured or you're not influenced. It's just pure desire to help in that field. For example, sometimes we don't get to choose our careers or our majors in university, but this is something you entirely, it's you that you want to do it, and it's beautiful.
It's
And it's also very rewarding in a different way, because you don't get paid to do it, but that feeling of being selfless and helping without actually getting something tangible in return is very rewarding. And seeing the animals that we've rescued live happily, whether here or abroad, it's very fulfilling.
Fulfilling. So you feel selfless, you feel happy, you feel proud, Sara.
Yes.
Just by helping those animals. So let's talk about one memorable story. I'm pretty sure you faced some stories in your journey in the voluntary work. We would like to share us with your story, actually.
One story I cannot forget would be a dog named Robin. He was shot with a sharp fishing tool in his head, right between his eyes.
Oh.
Of course, it was done on purpose. Nobody could have done that mistakenly. And of course, because it's a very sensitive spot, at first he couldn't see. He was blind, but then he slowly, I think he regained sight in one eye only. And his movement slowly started to improve, and then eventually was adopted, and now he's living the good life in the US.
That's really happy ending story.
Yeah.
So, Sara, did you face any challenges or problems, especially in your first beginning, in your the beginning of your journey in the voluntary work?
Yes, I mean, I still do. It's very challenging sometimes, because sometimes the case is very critical, so I'm worried that I will not make it in time, or the vet is closing soon, because we're very restricted, with very few vets here, and some of them closed earlier than others, and some are closed on the weekends, so we have limited options.
Yes.
Sometimes, of course, when I'm not able to help myself, it's the challenge of trying to find someone who can as soon as possible. Sometimes someone reports a sick or injured animal, and then when we go, they're not there. So we struggle to find them. Sometimes we have to trap them in a cage. Yeah, those are some of the challenges I've
actually, it sounds really harsh job to do. It's lovely and harsh at the same time. But I'm pretty sure you learn now from your mistakes, let's say, your problems you faced previous. And now you're getting stronger and learning more about your journey. So what are your hopes and wishes, Sara, especially in general, in your voluntary work, and specific in your team?
I wish more people volunteered, and I wish there were more people who adopt, and less people who buy, or less shops. I mean, I wish there were none. But let's say less.
Yes.
And I wish people would be more aware and do enough research before they adopt. And also, I wish people would stop breeding, because this is one of our main problems. overbreeding and just breeding in general, because either the breeder is breeding to sell, or the person doesn't want to spay or neuter their pet, so they allow them to breed, and then they cannot keep all the kittens or puppies, so they end up selling them, or they end up giving them away. And eventually, it's very sad, but we find home cats abandoned on the street every day. So a lot of them will actually end up on the street.
Yes. You shedded the light actually on the great points. Sara, do you have any last word or last advice to our dear viewers?
I advise people to adopt, not shop, and not trade or own wild animals like baboons. And people might not understand, but they're actually wild animals, and sometimes they're endangered animals. And we have a law against this also, but unfortunately it's not being implemented. And I advise people to be kind.
To be kind.
All life is precious.
To be kind to themselves before kind to those animals. Actually, I had fun interviewing you, Sara.
Thank you.
And I wish you all the best of luck.
Thank you so much.
For you and for your team.
Thank you.
So, dear viewers, reached the end of our episode for today. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. See you for the next one and have a nice evening.